Hi, ladies. Today we have Women in Alignment, Meet the Entrepreneur, and today we're going to meet Tracy Gatlin Monroy. I'm so sorry. She is a licensed professional counselor, and I'm going to have her introduce herself, and she's going to tell us what she does. Tracy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself to share a bit about your background, as well as tell us the kind of work that you do?
Absolutely. I want to say thank you, Kay, for having me on your platform. And I would also like to honor um, being on the land of the Muskogee and the Cherokee Native Americans here in Atlanta, Georgia. Inclusion and representation is important. And so, to all your listeners and your community, I just want to honor those of Native American descent with that and the community because we need to hear more about the contributions of marginalized people so that it becomes normalcy. Nonetheless, so I am Tracy Gantlin Monroy. I am a licensed professional counselor. I am also a trauma therapist. And so you could say that I am a brain wise clinician. I am the first Black female brain spotting trainer in the world. And also, I am SE trained, which is somatic experiencing. And I'm also IFS trained, which is internal family systems. So I am all about those modalities that guide us inward towards our healing. And so I'm happy to be here. And I also operate a private practice. And I'm presently working around in the PhD program, reclaiming who we are um, away from the angry Black woman stigma and trope towards restoration and healing. So that's kind of my deal.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful. I love that you touched on brain spotting. I have been curious about this, and since I heard it the first time when we were first meeting, can you share with the community as well as me, just what is brain spotting?
So brain spotting is a brain body modality. So when I say I am a brain wise clinician, and so many of us have heard that the body keeps the score. And that's beautiful work that Dr. Bessel van der Kolk has contributed to psychology, mental health field. And he actually gives us shout outs in brain spotting saying we have a handle on trauma and we have tools that can support and heal trauma, and brain spotting is one of those. So in brain spotting, we have a motto. And that motto is where you look affects how you feel. Now, what we're talking about here, brain spotting is a power tool. And so, what this technique does is we operate on two sides of neurobiology, which comes into dual attunement. And so, that dual attunement is based on the relational and the neurobiology. Right now, with that being said, when I say where you look affects how you feel, if you were even to think about a situation that's slightly irritating for you, and if you were to look at it, if your eyes were to the left, not your head, you don't change your head, but if you were to look, if you were to think about that situation as you look to your left, notice the impact of that in your body, thinking about that slightly irritating thing. And with that same situation, if you were to look in the front, in the middle, and if you were to look to the right with your eyes, what you're going to come to recognize is you're thinking about the same irritating situation, but chances are you're feeling different or differently in your system as you notice the different eye positionings. And so with brain spotting, we use the field of vision, not necessarily your sight. That's not what we're after. We're after those eye positionings, because with brain spotting, we bypass the neocortical, which is your thinking brain. This is where your executive functionings are. And we access your subcortical brain, which sits right on top of the brain stem in the midbrain. In fact, this is my man. This is my boyfriend. This is a brain. This is my man. Like, I keep my man with me. So when we talk about brain spotting, we're working right in here on top of that subcortical area, right in the midbrain. This is your brain stem coming up here. And we're accessing right here in this subcortical area. All this area here is your limbic cortex, and your limbic cortex has everything to do with regulation. Because the fact of the matter is, from brain science, when we talk in here, we're talking granular, which is neocortical. There's no regulation properties really there. But when we start talking agranular, see how that's going in there? Agranular, then that area has regulatory properties. And in brain spotting, we say, and what part of our hypothesis is, when you're working top down, which is traditional psychotherapy, there's only one hard wiring to reach into that midbrain area for regulation. But when you're working subcortically through your agranular, through the subcortical midbrain, there's from 1 to 4 quadrillion connections, which are potential for access. So why would I go at the opportunity at 1 when I can go at the opportunity of from 1 to 4 quadrillion connections in the brain and in the body? And so with brain spotting, this is the infamous little red pointer, but we can use any pointer or not. And so when I say the field of vision, we track along your field of vision. There's actually a setup that we use. We don't use protocols. We use setups, because brain spotting is non-compliant and it's non-oppressive and it's transportable. And so brain spotting is all over the world. You don't have to be licensed to be trained in brain spotting. We have indigenous and native persons in various countries on various continents that are trained in brain spotting. And interestingly enough, I did an introduction to brain spotting November while my husband and I were visiting Nigeria. My husband's Nigerian. And so I have a passion for Africa. I'm a humanitarian. So I thought it not robbery while I was there for almost 3 weeks, if I took some time out and shared with the clinicians and those that are on the ground working with trauma. And so I return in May to actually do a brain spotting phase 1 Nigeria training. And so with brain spotting, we're known for healing trauma, because what happens is, in the brain spotting experience, and because we're working subcortically, whatever you tell me, I believe you. And I don't engage with you much because you're doing system work, you're doing body and brain work. And what's happening is brain spotting, with that harnessing of that position, of that eye position, it actually registers in your body, and you can even rate it and give me a suds of how intense or how activated you're feeling around this thing that we're working on that you bring in. Maybe if we have time, we'll just do a little short demonstration setup so that people can see it. And then it'll make sense, because brain spotting is revolutionary. Like, the only way to learn, it's experiential. It's neural experiential. And so, excuse me, so we'll do just a little snippet of a setup. And so that way people can have a better orientation around it. Because even as a clinician, Brain spotting is very dense and it does take time. We're curious.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one of our ways of being. That's how brain spotting is to be embodied.
I've actually said this before. I think somehow we're telepathically connected. Every time you um, come up with an idea or say something, it's like the exact idea I had when you were trying to explain it. I was wondering, how can the average person actually utilize this, do some sort of practice themselves to, have it be effective or beneficial to them. My understanding while you were going, I was like, perhaps you need a professional to work with you to go through this setup. But I was wondering if someone can do it on their own, like at home, to benefit from, what it offers. You also mentioned SEC,
But
correct?
yes,
Go ahead.
yes, there's even a setup by the name of self-spotting, where you're a
Okay.
brain spotting clinician. We have a little card and I share it with clients so that they can spot themselves, because we actually have a setup by the name of gaze spotting. And we all naturally gaze, that you can do on your own to reinforce your healing, because no one has a turf on healing. We certainly do. We just do what we're good at. The
Good.
idea is healing.
Wonderful. So there's gaze spotting, self spotting, and brain spotting. Are these
Yeah,
very different from each other, or are they quite
they're
similar?
just different. They're
Just
just
different?
different. It's all brain spotting. We have inside window, outside window, gaze spotting. Those are the three foundational legs of brain spotting. Then we have resource model, advanced resource model. We got body spotting. So brain spotting
Mhm.
is documented to heal emotional and physical pain. There's a lot of physiology when it
Okay.
comes to our traumas, because we feel it somatically in our bodies, right? Even when you start traveling with trauma and how it impacts the brain and the body. It's like almost like a trauma response when you smell something that's associated with a trauma, perhaps, or a certain sound gives off a certain vibe that you can feel it. Like, I'll tell you one, K.
Okay.
Um, so oftentimes when I work with clients and they come in and it's like a spidey sense, but really it's just curiosity. And depending on what their presentation is, and I'll say, how was your birth story? And they'll look at me and they're like, huh? I'm like, your assignment is to go have a talk with your parents, your mom, even more specifically about what was their experience while they were carrying you. Because with brain spotting, we found that there's that opportunity in the system. When I talk about the system, you all, I'm talking about the autonomous nervous system. Okay. And there's two sides to that. There's sympathetic, which is alert state, and then there's parasympathetic, which is rest state. And for regulation, it should look like a sine wave, like a fish swimming within range. We need both of those to be online for regulation. So when I say system, I'm talking about your autonomous nervous system. I'm talking about your neurobiology. I'm talking about your brain and your body for a point of reference. And so with brain spotting, we're even able to address preverbal traumas, which happen between 0 and 2 years old,
Okay.
most at, going back to in utero.
Okay.
So this is womb work. We go back to the sacred basket, even because, we deal with reflexiveness with brain spotting. So like as I'm spotting you or your gaze spotting, as I notice your reflexiveness, the Geechee wants to come out, but I'm staying focused. Reflexively, when our eye blink, it's not just cleaning whatever. The eyes truly are the window of the soul, because there's even neurons optically, right? So when we start talking about nose twitches, cheeks twitching, so with that, the client don't even realize that they're twitching or there's that such movement. But what we have found is that in noticing, and that's actually how Dr. David Grant discovered brain spotting, just being curious and noticing. And so though that reflexiveness along with spotting, finding the location to harness that's in the system, that's what we call a brain spot, which is a bundle of activation. And we can tell it by your reflexiveness, or you can feel it inwardly with inside window, and then you tell us. So it's really revolutionary and expansive, and actors and athletes that know about brain spotting use it because it's almost like a different kind of clearing that goes deep. And so actors use it to drop into role and to become more one with the role. Athletes use it. It accentuates performance, especially when they've had a sports injury and they're guarded and they got the yips. So we have athletes that have used brain spotting miraculously. I don't know another word for it, of how it functions.
Perfect. I have a question, and what does it look like for the average person that goes through the brain spotting exercise? If that process was successful, what does the outcome look like? The kind of life that they will be living.
I have a client, and he knows I talk about him, and he's okay with it. This young man would sit in front of my office door in the fetal position. He was at war, and through brain spotting, I received content that he could not even talk about before. So he was having behaviors like he had picked up the bottle, became aggressive with his sibling. His mom passed. He was an investor. He was also working on a local police department. And when he came in, one of the first things I noticed, I'm like, oh my God, you're on special forces, which continue to re-traumatize and activate your system.
Yeah.
And so he could not function. I mean, he would just kind of show up, hair undone, unkempt, all these things. So one day I said to him, and my clients know I'm all about let's explore, let's be curious, because hell, if you already in pain, what we got to lose, right? Let's do it. And so we started brain spotting. He started selling his artwork. He started caring for the investment homes he and his mom owned together. He quit his job, took another job that would still get him towards his retirement to provide for his children. It was phenomenal. And he would never tell you brain spotting. But because I know how he showed up, and what was so interesting is I didn't even know what I was doing with brain spotting. Like, I had this thing when I learned brain spotting some years ago, I would be like, okay, let me hold my stick on you and let's see what happens. And the person that was my consultant towards certification, I kept saying, how do I know if I'm doing it right? She's like, do they keep coming back? I'm like, yeah, in fact, it helped to build my practice, and I had the turnover because people were being healed and then they would come back for maintenance. So when you ask, what is the impact on a client? And quite frankly, a lot of clients hear about brain spotting through the grapevine because this is our 20th year. But most people hear about brain spotting through something. That's how I heard about it as a clinician. So, but I lost 70 pounds, and my life has been impacted differently since I've been in brain spotting community. It's a wonderful community. And here's the deal. We all have some work in our system that we could do that maybe isn't even cognizant or conscious for us, right? Because there's such stigmas around mental health, but we go to the dentist, we go to our primary care, and I'm so happy that mental health is becoming more mainstream, and especially
Yeah.
in BIPOC communities, especially in marginalized communities. Because when you start talking to Black and brown people about mental health, the first thing that's said is something must be wrong with you, or you must be crazy. And,
Yeah.
and it's like a dirty little secret. But absolutely, Kay, I could go on and on and on about the impact, and it's about healing the healer as well. It's just not a tool for a clinician to have existentially or externally to give to their clients. It's
Yeah.
also an opportunity to heal the healer because we're all human.
Yeah. And always, growing and learning as well. When you got started, you touched on SEC, if I'm saying that correctly. Could you elaborate on what
SE,
SE, I'm sorry, SE.
SE. So that's somatic experiencing, and that's another modality. But I also want to say that brain spotting is integrative. It can stand on its own, or you can integrate it. I am an eclectic clinician. And so, what I mean by that is, I'm curious about what tools are available to treat clients that have been in pain. And with somatic experiencing, it's pretty amazing. And when you pair that with brain spotting, so somatic experience comes from this idea of still body work and coming to a completion of what's in the system, bringing it to a place of regulation and healing. For instance, somatic experience use like this construct of counter vortex and trauma vortex. And so somatic experiencing has a beautiful way of pendulating the system. Like the trauma is the touchstone, then you pull back, maybe with some orienting, then you go back in so that you don't overstimulate
Mm,
and take the client out of their window of tolerance while grounding them and orienting them and then coming back to the trauma. So if I were to put it in layman's terms, you're teasing out the pieces and working with that, bringing it to a completion. And as that completes, then you tease it out and you create containers. Because oftentimes when people have experienced trauma, keeping in mind, trauma is not in the story, trauma is in the experience and in the body. Be
mm,
clear about that. And the thing with brain spotting and somatic experiencing, I don't have to re-traumatize you by you talking about that trauma without an intervention. I just need a piece of it. Matter of fact, you don't have to say anything. With brain spotting and with SE, you give me a little piece, and I'm also noticing. See, it's all about noticing and being curious and ushering you in to hit that touchstone, then bringing you out and allowing you to reframe, to change the trajectory of that deep-seated trauma, then bringing you back to the water to drink,
mm,
right? And it's movement. Somatic experiencing gives movement to the trauma. You'll hear people say, I'm stuck, or I'm numb, or those are all feelings. And so to pick apart those behaviors and those nuances, somatic experiencing, it's about somatically experiencing what the different techniques and the interventions. And you're just kind of dancing with the client while they're pushing the trauma through their bodies towards healing. Because we don't heal nobody. It's only by grace that healing occurs. But the fact of the matter is this: your brain and body has the power to heal itself. We're but merely facilitators that hold you, because oftentimes clients can't hold themselves in that dysregulated place and they need, right, support. And so with somatic experiencing, what I love about it is it's scaffolding. to get to that meat, pulling out, teasing it out, and completing, teasing it out, and completing, which brings about healing and regulation. Because that's the deal. People come in because they're dysregulated. They come to us because they're seeking regulation,
Yeah.
healing, health, and wellness. So that's somatic experience. And I love it. I hear them all the time.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I know clients are very satisfied when it comes to you, and you're always getting booked up. So I know you are absolutely brilliant at what you do. And
Thank you.
next, I would love for us to go through the exercise of brain spotting, or not sure which one you would love to do, but I'd love to do an exercise at this time.
Beautiful. So let's go here now. Be clear that brain spotting goes fast and it goes deeply. And so we are in a public space. So I just want to give that disclaimer. And you're agreeing to do this in this platform,
I
right?
am.
Okay. All right. So well, just tell me, give me something. So let's talk about something, maybe something that's happened to you or any situation you want to work on. Anything. You tell me. What's the problem? What you want to work on?
What do I want to work on? There are a few, so I'm just like running through my head right now. I'm like, which one should I go with? Um, I have a hard time being social with people. Should I say that? Maintaining relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, feeling connected to people. I have a hard time with that. I do feel connected to very, very few,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't value superficial relationships. Is that good? Or I can think of
Oh, I
some.
love it. But I just got to tell you, honey, you went way deep because even as you were talking, now I got on my clinician cap. And when you started off, I had the curiosity around is she isolated? Is she withdrawn? Then as you start to peel back, it made me curious about attachment and
Yeah,
what that looked like for you, because I went straight to secure attachment or not. And
secure.
so Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, mhm. And so in your family system, you brought that in. So I just want to point those things out just in my noticing. But I'm curious, when you say that you don't connect readily to superficial people.
Or I don't like getting close to people. I should say that I don't like getting too close. I do believe that the closest people to you can hurt you. So I usually keep myself at a distance. And some relationships I probably just cast off as superficial because I don't allow myself to get deep with a person. So it's sort of like a protective mechanism.
Absolutely, it is, right? That's your
Yeah.
place of safety.
Yeah.
Right. So even when you think about protecting yourself and keeping yourself safe, what emotion comes to mind for you, your need to do that?
Um, I want to avoid the emotional um experience that may come with that for loss or something that, relationship that fails or person gets in a position where they can hurt me.
Got it. And so then sounds like some fear and some anxiety around that. So when you do engage in relationships, it wouldn't be uncommon for you to wait for the other shoe to drop. um, and needing to kind of warrior up throughout the relationship and
Yeah,
holding back, right?
correct.
And so, even as you're thinking about that, Kay, in this moment, how activating is that from you from 10 to 0, with 10 being the highest and 0 being the least amount?
Probably 10. Like I'm
Uh,
really um this is like a number one thing for me, like getting close to people. Like I'm afraid of what they can do to hurt me, or something happens, they pass away. I'm afraid of the I don't know, just the emotional stuff. I don't like the emotional stuff, to be honest.
I got it. Sounds like there's a great deal of loss there and that experiencing. And so with that 10, where does that resonate in your body? Where is that 10 connected in your body? Where are you feeling the tension or feeling anything that you're noticing now when you think about this fear?
Perhaps both in my brain because I know I'm thinking about it. So in my brain or mind, if I know the mind
Mhm.
is considered a concept but not really a thing, and then more so in my chest, heart area.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so in your brain and in your chest area, you're feeling that activation. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, okay, is I'm gonna use some because I want to push you towards your somatic feeling because you're a big thinker. You don't feel often. That's not your go-to. Just saying from what I'm noticing, even in this
Right.
moment. So I'm going to do some inside window with you, and you're going to lead and guide this. Okay. You're going to tell me, and I want you to notice. So I'm going to go to 3 areas, and you're going to tell me which area resonates with you the most. And you're going to get an opportunity to adjust me as well. Can you see the pointer?
I can.
Okay. So we're going to go here. We're going to go here. And we're going to go, let me shorten that. We're going to go here.
Okay.
Which area resonated the most? And we can do it
Uh,
again.
in the center, actually.
Okay, so we're going to come back to the center area, right? And then I'm going to go and I want you to notice because we're going to go up on your y-axis. We're going to go up here. Then I'm going to come to mid-eye level. And then we're going to go below. Which area resonates the most with you?
At the top.
At the top. So I'm going to move the pointer up and you just tell me when to stop. And also tell me if I need to go in or out, move it over. You guide me, okay?
Right there.
Right here. Notice how your body is responding and you know, do I need to go to your left or to your right to adjust? And we're orienting to you. Or
To
is it,
adjust.
huh?
To adjust.
Yes. Do I need to adjust the pointer?
Oh
You
no.
j-
No.
okay, this is right here for you. Okay, Kay, I just want to check in a little bit with your activation presently. Um, from 10 to 0, how's it registering in this moment? 10 being the highest, 0 being the
Perhaps
least.
an 8. Not so much.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, and want to invite you to check in your body and just let me know where it's resonating at when you think about your initial problem with that fear and the idea of loss and connection.
Chest area.
Okay. Okay, let's process from here. I may or may not check in, just know I'm here. And just notice if you notice an image, an emotion or feeling, a behavior that happens, a sensation. And let's just see what happens as you're noticing the pointer.
Image of a person. So
Okay.
Should I point out what I'm doing also, or like I'm
You
also
can or not.
okay. I have my hand clasped like this and rubbing. I don't know what that means, but
Mhm. Can I share something with you?
yes, please.
Your whole face was activated in your body and you began to rock and sway. I don't even know if you noticed it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's also the sense of the anxiety. So
Hmm. With being no assumptions, we don't make any assumptions. You can share as much as or not. I do want to invite you to just lean into it and just go wherever it goes.
feels like leaning into chaos like that. Maybe that's why I try to avoid it.
Uh-huh. Keep going and let's see what happens. And notice your body and be curious. Going back to the body keeps the score.
Mm,
Mm,
that's true. I've heard about that book. I haven't read it yet, but it seems like I need.
mhm. Your breathing has changed like 3 times. You're having a cascade of your eyes blinking. Your whole body's moving. So let me tell you what I'm going to do because I would never leave anyone in any kind of way. Um, First, I want to check in and see what your SUDs are like presently.
Beg your pardon once again?
Your SUDs from 10 to 0. How are you registering?
Spell the 8.
Okay. So um, I'm going to throw some resource model in here.
Okay.
So I want to invite you to scan your body and locate in your body the area that feels the most calm, grounded, and neutral.
My legs, or this is
Okay. All
the
right.
most calm.
Okay. So I'm going to just invite you to go to your legs and be with your legs as you continue to process and just know that you have that available for you as
Mm.
you continue to mindfully process. Let's see what happens.
Going to that calm area. If I focus on the calm, then everything else becomes calm.
It's brain spotting, baby.
There you go.
So just be with that. Continue processing. And I notice you're working between 2 spots, the one with the pointer and then one up to your right. And it's okay when you go up to the right, if that feels like your place, hang out there a little bit and see what happens. Yep, beautiful. You went right to it. And just know I'll be right here when you come back to the pointer.
right seems to be a place of calm. If I look to the right, it seems like, and I naturally stop this fidgeting stuff.
It's okay. Where you look affects how you feel.
Where you look, interesting,
Mm.
fascinating.
And there's always more than one spot, right? So you identified a brain spot on your own. You went up to your right. You just gave the report that it felt soothing, calming, grounding for you. And you noticed a shift in your body. Then you came back to the where you look affects how you feel around the same situation we started with.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. And so, it's a phenomenon, Kay.
I know. I'm thinking. I'm like, wait, what is happening to me? What is?
Right. So I want to do a check-in. I want to check in with your chest area. Give me a check-in. What's going on there?
There's still the lingering thought of it. So, but definitely down.
Okay. From
Perhaps
10 to
like a
0.
4.
A 4.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Keep going.
Even below, I'm not fidgeting anymore, but yeah, completely makes sense. Where you look affects how you feel. So yeah, absolutely interesting.
Can you hang out with that spot up to your right a little bit and let's mm-hmm. Just take it in and breathe it in. Beautiful. How is it registering from 10 to 0?
The feeling that I'm having, or negative or positive, now it's good.
Now it's, what does good mean?
It internally, like inside, I'm doing like a little dance. I was like wondering.
Ah, beautiful. Now you're moving into what we call expansion. So what I'm going to do, because I need to land this plane in a safe way,
Okay.
right? Because although we're playing around with the demo, you're a human being. And this is your content. This is your experience. This is your stuff. This is your life, right? And so I just want to invite you to just feel that dance. And if you want to move, just wiggle a little bit with it because you're engaging with your polyvagal, your soul nerve.
I
Yeah.
thought it was showing, but I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're seeing me dance, because I was like visualizing I'm doing like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Give your body what it needs. That's the somatic experiencing part. So you're doing it. Ah,
There you
yes.
go.
Yes, because, our bodies, we got to give it what it needs. Is it okay if I take the pointer down now?
Yes, 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 yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so when I saw you, like, I noticed the shift, but I can't know what's going on because your system's going to always be quicker than me.
Yeah.
Because it's neurobiological and brain spotting. You're the head of the comet and I'm the tail of the comet. We use that metaphor. So even though in my noticing, like I can't know what it is, but I know that it is, only you can know. And notice, excuse me, how you didn't have to tell me much about what was happening with you. And you noticed even your
Yeah.
shift. And I only know that because you shared it. Right? How was that experience for you? Did you notice images? Was it flashing like a movie? Did you hear sounds? Did you feel in your body. Tell us what it was like for you, Kay, in that moment with that.
Looking, describing what makes me, something I wanted to work through was the fear of getting close to people. When I think about that, I look ahead. I was getting anxious. I could tell. Well, the feeling was there, and also I noticed my hands clamped up. And also I started fidgeting and rubbing on my legs here. And then you asked me to look for a place that I feel calm. And I thought about my legs. There, I didn't feel anything. Everywhere else, I felt anxious. And then um, while I was doing that, I start looking away and I'm like, okay, this position or this direction makes me feel completely oblivious to everything else.
We call that a resource spot that you identified. You identified in your body and you located a resource spot that calmness to the
Yeah.
degree you were going towards expansion because you started dancing on the inside.
Yeah, I did. It was really nice.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, how can I use that in my day-to-day life? Just a quick tip. But that's one of the thoughts that crossed my mind. I was like, how can I use this? Because I do have that experience sometimes with people. I get anxious as well, and I notice I look away. Is it that simple? Just kind of like look away, or can I think with people?
So that's yes and no,
Okay.
depending. So with self-spotting, I'll certainly share that with you and send you the setup for
Okay. Perfect.
self-spotting, right? In fact, I'll share it with all your people. I'll give you the copy and you can post it to everybody that's um, with us as a gift to your community. You've been so gracious to even allow me space on your platform to share about healing in our communities. Um, and I want to just offer you a session with me,
I
just because
know.
you're so graceful and kind, and I appreciate you. So there's that, and this is the importance of awareness. This is when I say to people, I'm a brain wise clinician or I'm a psychoeducating clinician because I can't expect you to know something unless I impart it or teach it or share it with you. This is what my big mission is about in this black body, 6 feet tall, size 12 shoes woman of color and having the experience. You just experienced brain spotting and we didn't even go for 20 minutes. So just notice that and the impact it made on you in that time. When I start talking to clinicians about it's important to have the proper tools in your toolkit. People are not cookie cutter. We don't come with the same experiences. We don't come with the same phenotype backgrounds, not even the same language. Like I've brain spotted people that don't speak the language
Oh,
because people process in their native tongue. And when you talk about native and indigenous people, like brain spotting is just a winner. I'm talking about generational traumas. I'm talking about intergenerational traumas. I'm talking about, stuff that comes up that people didn't even know was in their system. And they go having these conversations with their mom, and mom's like, oh, yeah, I know what you connecting to. Yeah, and it's so transportable. We use a pointer or not. I have a collection of pointers because I'm a bad mama jamma. Right. And then with this, and I do want to identify that I did throw some somatic experiencing in there. And when you started to have the movement, my encouragement to go with it, because part of somatic experiencing is, that becomes a release,
yeah.
a discharge. And then as we complete it, you had this beautiful discharge of breath that came in your body that I noticed. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're blushing a little bit, Kay. What's going on?
I am. I love that experience. I've been intrigued by brain spotting. I just got to do it, and I feel like I felt the effects of it immediately, like it was happening to me. I was like, "What is happening to me?" But it feels good. Let's dance.
I love that. I
See,
love
that's why.
that.
But I think that's why I was so drawn to it. It's like, I think that's why I was drawn to it. There is like, part of my healing in that. And I'm definitely more intrigued. I really appreciate the offer that, you just proposed as well. I'll definitely take you up on that offer as
Please,
well.
please do. And this goes to the 2-hour free
Yeah.
time I'm giving with the healing experience, dealing with emotional and soul injuries equal wounds, because there's so much talk about these wounds. And I'm encountering people and I'll show up and they're talking about wounds. And I'm like, I become a little bit afraid because I'm like, it's more layered than that, this, that, and the other. But I tell my colleagues the reason why there are so many people out here haphazardly is because we're not in these spaces. And a lot of it is just simply a money grab,
Yeah.
and people's lives aren't changing, they're not healing. And so with that, that becomes a thing of concern. And so the 2 hours I'm offering is to actually do group work. See, groups are ancient. That circle,
Yeah.
that infinity eight and those circles, there is nothing more powerful than communal healings. And oftentimes our injuries happen in community, especially when you're talking to BIPOC persons. BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, and persons of color. Right? When you're talking to marginalized people, when we start talking about the LGBT plus community, when we start talking about women overall in a patriarchal society, colonization happened all over the world. My hashtag is inclusion because I'm all about all people. Like before we logged on, you and I were talking about the culture of our children, even, and being placed in different cultures and worlds to support our children and being whole human beings, embracing all of who they are. And I know when people look at even the retreat stuff, so I have an Unbound Black Woman Healing Retreat in Cancun, Mexico, July the 20th through the 24th. And I like to say there are payment plans for the retreat and for the lodging. We'll be at the Hard Rock Hotel Riviera Maya. And there will be adjacent activities that I have curated, um, that's all included in your retreat price. And it's all inclusive at the Hard Rock. And it also includes transfers from the airport to the hotel and back to the hotel. And so we're going to close out that Sunday evening with the yacht party. I've already chartered the yacht. We're going to go through the Path of Feelings Friday, where we're going to assimilate what it must have been like for your system as women, through the diaspora that identify as Black, because I'm going to take you through 4 or 5 ecosystems. And yeah, your system's gonna be activated with intentionality, so we can do some healing. We're gonna toss the dirt, so to speak. If we were in the garden, we're gonna be digging in the garden of your soul and your experience. And then we're gonna have a healing, a water purification ceremony that's going to be done for us on the beach. It will be beachside. That's also included. And we're doing healing circles every day because I am throwing everything I've learned that have been effective for me and others. And it's time to heal. People say, okay, Tracy, you had a white Guatemalan husband. You got a biracial child. Your first kiss in life was a white boy in Summerville, South Carolina. But here's the deal. I do inclusive trainings and events as well. But as I've been working on my PhD research, there is huge disparity when it comes to the Black and the brown woman, just historically. And these experiences are unique. And the big thing that got my attention, Kay, was the allostatic overload. So when I talk allostatic load, I'm talking about biological stress that we take in our bodies and in our brain and in our system that we don't even know. They have studies showing that the Black woman's allostatic overload is off the charts. And when you're allostatic, your body is not engineered to maintain allostatic overload.
Mm.
It is a precursor to poor health outcomes. Alarming rates, Black woman, right behind the Black woman, the brown woman. And the white women, according to the studies, are way behind us in terms of their allostatic loads are healthy. Ours are not. And so when you look at the Black and brown community, you can see the manifestation of how psychological, emotional conditions manifest physiologically, medically in our health and our outcomes and things of that nature. So when people say, why are you doing this retreat for Black women like this, Tracy? You're all about BIPOC. You're all about all people. Absolutely. Inclusion is my thing, but the fact of the matter is there's such a crisis in the Black community, and Black women have been silenced, and and they are the least protected and most disrespected. Now, this ain't just what I read because it's written as well. Hey, I'm in a Black body. I get the experience. When I come to the bank, they looking at me crazy because I'm a sister and I'm tapping into these accounts, but I own them. But you got to call 2 and 3 people, especially when my real estate company was popping. I was a young girl coming in the bank, company named after me, you pushing buttons and stuff like it's a sticker. When I'm asked my experience, but I was acculturated by dominant cultured white wealthy people growing up way before I was enculturated by my tribe that looks like me. So white folks historically have been my protectors and my allies while I was being bullied, okay, in the Black community because it was that whole identity and social location. My parents did well. I went to school in limousines. So that made me different. I didn't know that as a kid. I just thought because I was overweight and talked a little differently and liked to read and stuff. But, so my trauma came at the hand of women that look like me, girls that look like me. And I'm just so grateful and thank God for my healing. And as I healed, I grew a passion for my Black bodiedness and women that look like me because I'm like, if I went through this experience, or if my best friend Suki, Black girl, crib mate, went through, I wonder what, and then started doing the research, going all the way back to the transatlantic slave trade and on that ship. So the ancestral piece, the intergenerational piece. So it's just so much, but yeah, I embrace all people. But right now, the squeaky wheel has got to get the oil, and it has to be a focus with this retreat and with this 2 hours that I'm giving away because people haven't been doing work studies or healing. I mean, the American Psychological Association just offered a huge apology. Google it. American Psychological Association apology to BIPOC community, more specifically Black, about the pathology and the maltreatment and the discrimination, even in mental health. It's out there online. So part of my deal is decolonization of mental health and inclusion. Forget about this erasure stuff. Representation matters.
Absolutely, it does. And it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful event. Ladies, if you are interested in that, the website to Tracy's Tracy's website link, I'm sorry, is just above. You can click on that. And also to attend the free event, you have to register. The link is to the Eventbrite page, if I'm not mistaken. You have to register to attend that as well. And Tracy, it was such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for sharing what you do and also, expanding on brain spotting. I'm definitely curious to learn more about that. And just before we go, is there any final thought that you would like to share?
Just know that trauma is pressure. But here's the deal. For most of us, if we don't feel pressure, we ain't going to do nothing. If when we get too comfortable, and I think that we've been avoiding and running away from those things that create pressure. I'm here to tell you that your healing is within you. All you need is support and perhaps a guide, but you have the power to heal yourself. And let's start picking up the tools to sharpen your axe. I can't give you an axe. You are that axe, but I can absolutely sharpen that thing and give you the support and to teach you how to use your tool for healing. So please, by all means, check out my offerings. And I'm easy to reach. I ain't that deep. I'm the girl next door. I just so happen, if this is my call, this is not my work. This is my call, and it is my pleasure. And listen, you're welcome here. Black, white, green, purple, Asian American, it don't matter. African, Caribbean, Russian, Turkish, it don't matter. We are all flowers in the garden of God. We are all flowers in the garden of creation. And the bottom line is just simply this: you matter, and I love you, and I care about what your life experience is like and what it's about. So that's my deal, Kay. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, ladies, you got the information. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. It's a pleasure. We are going to go down. Ciao. Have a wonderful day.